Beyond hands where nothing is hidden. We talking so get in.
Listen.
Beyond hands where nothing is hidden. We talking so get in.
Listen.
Mary, blah, blah.
Show.
Mary, blah, blah.
Show.
Beyond hands where nothing is hidden. We talking so get in.
Listen.
Beyond hands where nothing is hidden. We talking so get in.
Listen.
Mary, blah, blah.
Show.
Mary, blah, blah.
Show.
Welcome to the Unhinged, a Mary Blige show. Leukemia is the most common cancer. It affects approximately 4,000 each year in the US, and 1 in 3 children with cancer has leukemia. You never really know what life has in store for you. I have just learned to always be prepared, but you are never really prepared as a mother for any bad news when it comes to your children. Anthony was diagnosed with leukemia at the age of 10. A doctor's visit turned into a life changing journey, one that is his testimony to share. However, the testimony of a mother is one hell of a ride. As a mother of four, full time job, and a full time student studying for a bachelor's degree, little did I know my life was about to change. Priscilla Soto. My next guests are very, very special to me. My daughter Priscilla Soto and my grandson Anthony Miller are here today, and they want to share their journey with leukemia with everyone. Welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you for having us. We are grateful to be here.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Y'all are so welcome. So today I have Priscilla and Tony Ray, and they're going to talk about their journey through leukemia. So Tony Ray was diagnosed with leukemia at the age of 10, right?
Yes.
Priscilla, can you first start off with us? Like, what was it that made you take him to the doctor to get checked for that, or what happened prior? Can you take us back to that moment?
Yeah. So Tony Ray was a very active kid, actively involved in, sports, flag football, things like that. And we slowly started to see a change in like the way he was trying to catch his breath when he was going upstairs. And a lot of times we would ask him like, "Hey, how are you feeling?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm fine." Like nothing was wrong. Until one day we did notice. We lived in a townhome at the time, and, during that time, he went up, like, maybe 2 or 3 flights of stairs, like, not the flights, but, like, the stairs itself, and he sat down, and I'm like, "What's going on?" He's like, "I just can't breathe right. I'm having a hard time catching my breath," which and then led to, me making a regular doctor's appointment to kinda go see what was going on with him because he was, like, again, like I said, extremely active child, so to be out of breath like that was kind of like, "That's weird," so that's kind of how it ultimately like, the first sign that we noticed.
Are there other symptoms that you were feeling?
That was really
What can you describe what those feelings were?
uh just think of okay, just think about like running around a track and you naturally get tired, right? But think of like running till like you can't really move for a moment. Like you're on your knees gasping for air.
Did you have any other symptoms? Like, did your body hurt? Did your bones hurt? Did you feel headaches or anything like that?
No, actually, it I didn't feel really anything. It wasn't even painful. I just got tired really fast.
Yeah. So, for my audience out there, just so that you know, so you can understand where I'm going to be coming from, is that these two people, beautiful people on here, Priscilla is my daughter, and Tony Ray is my grandson. So, I just wanted to give a heads up to the people who are out there listening. Yes, I do know them. So I remember going back to prior to that, I remember that you had asked me to go across the street to go and look at him because his skin looked pale, right? And I was concerned because for those who don't know, Tony Ray was born with one kidney, right? Which we called it a horseshoe kidney. So I thought, okay,
Yes.
he does look well. Maybe something's going on with the kidney. So we were kind of worried about that. So your next step was to call the doctor and make the appointment, and then you took him.
Yeah, now that you mention it, I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. My mind a lot of times is like it's there's a lot of things that I tend to like, oh man, I don't remember, but if you tap into something, then I'll go back to it.
Mhm.
But yes, now that you do say that, I did. I think I sent you a message because I was like, his skin did look really pale. Um, so
Right.
with that being said, we did at that point go ahead and set that doctor's appointment. And as you know, when we went to the doctor's office, the doctor came in, and this is Dr. Anthony's been seeing for years, since he was younger. So when we came in, he walked into the room and immediately was like, "You need to take him to the emergency room." He actually said, he looked severely anemic, um, but he was like, "You need to go, right away to the emergency room." So with that being said, I was like, "Man, I don't think they're, and being anemic, like, does that run in the family?" I wasn't really sure, so I was already, like, in panic mode as a mom. But I'm like, "Okay, we're gonna just go to the emergency room." So I ended up making arrangements, went to the, house, grabbed a bag just in case, not knowing really what was gonna happen. Um,
Mhm.
and then when we got to the emergency room, we told him the doctor had said for us to come here, and there really wasn't no hesitation either in them actually saying to come back, like, sometimes they triage you and make you wait a while and things like that. They were like, "Okay, yeah, we're gonna take him back." And so I kind of,
Mhm.
in a sense, felt unease already, like, "What's going on? Like, why are they immediately seeing?" I have other children, so going to the hospital, I do know that there's times where we're waiting for hours. So they did,
Right.
triage him immediately and kind of put him in the back, and, they wanted to, run some blood work and things like that. And, that's kind of where everything really happened for me as a mom, where you're in the back and I'm like, "What's going on?" Start questioning everything, and then it goes from there. I mean, I'm sure we'll get into it a little bit more, but that's kind of where the
Right.
doctor's appointment led to the hospital.
Hey, I wanted to add something, if that's okay. So, like, not only did this affect me at home, it also affected me at school because the school I was in had like a flight of stairs, and my classroom was in the second floor. And so every time I would walk up them stairs, I just had to like sit down on like in the stairs. They weren't wooden or anything; they were just like concrete. Yeah,
So, Tony, let
it
me
was
ask you
painful.
this. Did any of your teachers ever notice that? Did you bring that up to any of the teachers that you were having trouble breathing?
I can't really remember. I probably did, but they didn't do anything. So
Okay.
Yeah, and
So
I
let
never
me,
received a call. I'm sorry. I never received a call from the school, and his teachers were pretty much like if something was going on, they contacted me. So
Mhm.
I don't necessarily think they saw anything there
Yeah,
out of the
but it
ordinary.
could be that maybe Tony, yeah, and Tony, you probably felt like it was kind of no big deal. It's just you're feeling tired and nothing to ring the alarms about. Let me ask you something. When you went to the doctor and you found out that you had to go to the hospital or to the emergency room, do you remember what you were thinking at that point, or did you just feel too tired to even care about what was happening?
I'm pretty sure I was trying to go to sleep.
So I was
Yeah,
gonna say, let me get my glasses on.
yeah.
So, some of the, I was looking at some researching some stuff, and so it says some of the initial symptoms of leukemia are bleeding or bruising easily, tiny red spots on the on the skin, fever, runny nose, cough, fatigue, lack of appetite or weight loss, bone and joint pain. So, like where you feel like your legs may be cramping up or hurting, stomach pain, and difficulty breathing. That's one of the symptoms of, initial symptoms of leukemia. Of course, we don't have this in our family, so nobody really knew anything about this, right? Um, so then you're at the hospital, Priscilla. Y'all are both at the hospital in the ER, and all the doctors are in there. So what is going on? Like, paint us a picture of what is happening in there.
So once the doctors, entered, they really just wanted to do some blood work on him and they, just real calm, we're just gonna run some tests, he looks anemic and we're just gonna, go from there. Um, which was fine. We were there for, a few hours. I did inform his, at this point, let me inform his father, hey, we are at the emergency room. Anthony, they're saying he looks severely anemic, so we're just gonna run some blood work and things. Um, I think initially it hit me when the doctor came in with, you know how the hospitals have those pastors, things like that, where they come in and kind of just talk to you. And so, initially when they walked in together, I was like, why are you here? And that was literally my first, why are you here? And the doctor's like, can you come outside? We want to talk to you. And I'm like, "Why?" It was really that was just at that point, I just got really I was already overwhelmed, and I just got really like, "Well, why are you here, and why do you wanna talk to me outside? Like, y'all could talk to me here," you know? When we were at the hospital, it was just me and Tony Ray, so I wasn't really
Mm.
prepared for anything initially, again, everybody was just really calm and they weren't really wanting to say too much. They did say, we got the blood work back. We wanted to talk to you, but we're going to step outside and go into, this private room. And at that point, I think I immediately the worst things came into my mind. My son's in the room by himself. I'm in this room with this pastor, the doctor, and the first thing I say is my son going to die? Like, why are y'all here trying to talk to me? Um,
Mhm.
they did grab my hands, and was like, no, nothing like that. Do you have anybody you'd like to call? And so, hearing those things as a mother, you're kind of like, well, why would I need to call anybody? Like, somebody needs to tell me right now what's going on. But I think that I was so full of emotions. And at this point, you could tell I was getting a little angry because nobody wanted to speak fast enough for me. That they were like, well, I think you should call someone and we'll have a conversation, and I'm like, I just don't I was just stuck, ultimately, I was just really stuck, had to register why they were here, and all I kept thinking, like, "Is my son going to die?" Because you get pulled away like that, and I've been experiences with life, where we do get pulled into a room and it's never nothing good, So at this point, that's really ultimately how I felt, and the question that just kept running through my head, and them being so quiet and so just chill about everything made me so uneasy?
Right. So I was there with you at the hospital, but they wouldn't let us in because it was during there was still COVID going on. And
Mhm.
so they were letting one at a time, and I went in there briefly and then I came back out because they, for whatever reason, I couldn't be in there too long. And I had to leave at that point because I had to pick up somebody from work. And when I just gotten to the job, when you called me and told me what was going on with Tony Ray.
So, they actually told me to call someone before they told me, but at that point, I ended up did calling, his father. I called my sister, just because I didn't know what they were gonna tell me. So, I know everybody was about
Mhm.
30 to 40 minutes away from me, So, me sitting in that room with them was like, I can't wait. Like, what's going on? I was already crying. I was already panicked, before I even found out the news, but when they told me, your son has cancer, I think that, I'm sorry.
It's okay, just take your time. It's really hard to hear those words that somebody has cancer. And I can't. Tony's not my son; he's my grandson. So as a mother, I don't. I can't comprehend those. And so um, I really can't imagine as a mom for you to hear those words about your child. My y'all are all healthy. I didn't get news like that, so it must be difficult. So just you can take your time. because I know
Yeah.
that's really painful. So it's
Um,
very. I know when you called to tell me that was very devastating news, and I just literally broke down in the parking lot at that moment. Um,
yeah,
and
hearing that I didn't, I think ultimately I was not there anymore. Um, I just I didn't even at that point question what kind of cancer, like get more information, I just was like really shocked in hearing that, and I'm like, why him? You know what I'm saying? Like Tony Ray is my child. Like we grew up, I didn't have him young, but still he changed a lot in my life. Um, so it just
yeah,
hearing that was just I in shock. And so finally when I did gather myself enough, I did step outside at that point and make some calls. I believe I called my sister first and told her, and she was in shock as well. I was like, I'm on my way. She really didn't ask much questions. His father, I didn't tell him until he actually got there because he was doing a long drive, and I didn't want him to panic.
right.
Um, so it's like that's when I think I feel like my sister at that point, she called you and I don't remember all who was on the phone. I do know I did call, you guys and ultimately once I was able to see, his father, I just busted out crying, and his father actually is the one who went and spoke to the doctors directly because I couldn't. I have real bad anxiety as is, so I couldn't really
Mm.
get the words out. I didn't know how to say anything else but that he has cancer.
You actually called me, and you had told me, and I know
Yeah.
there was a lot of stuff going on at that moment, so I know that you're not going to remember all that,
Mm,
because it's a very traumatic moment, to hear those words, coming from doctors telling you about your son. But you did call me and you said, I haven't called anyone yet, so please don't say nothing to anyone, but Tony Ray has cancer. So
mm,
you made that call, and I figured you wouldn't, quite remember, just because of being such a traumatic event and point
yeah.
in your life. Um, when you were able to gather yourself and all that, how did you break it to Tony Ray? Did you immediately tell him?
Oh man, that was hard. I feel like if I can remember, we didn't tell Tony Ray while we were at the hospital we were at for the emergency room. I don't know if we could
Okay.
say the name, but
Yeah, you
we
you can.
okay, so we went to Texas Children in the Woodlands. And so while we were there, his father and I had decided, we're not going to tell him right now here, They did say that they were going to transport us to Texas Children's like main campus, which is downtown, or in the
Right.
medical center, but they were going to transfer us there. So, you know, Anthony was
I was excited.
is so excited, and I think that's what made us like, we're not gonna have this conversation here because he was so excited to know that he was about to ride his first ambulance ride ever.
You don't. It's fine.
This again, Tony Ray was my kid, even though he was born with that one kidney. He never was in the hospital, he's never really sick. Ever. We would do his regular visits to his doctor and he's healthy, there was never anything or so and with that be knowing that, you guys, I was thinking like he's like this came out of nowhere. Like that's why I think I was so shocked, but he was really excited, which put us a little bit more at peace and at ease, like, okay, man, look at this kid, like he's just let's go. Like, I'm ready to get in this ambulance ride. So that's the reason why we decided not to tell him in that moment. But when we did actually get to the hospital, they immediately started to do some blood transfusions on him, um, which I know we'll talk about. They immediately start to do some blood transfusions on him, and I think it wasn't until the second day, maybe or first day. one of those days that we decided it was time to tell him once me and his father had found out a little bit more information on what type of cancer it was, what is leukemia, right? Because I didn't have no knowledge of it, like what is it? Not again, it's not nothing that runs in the family. So we had to learn ourselves a little bit more about it so that way we can actually have that conversation with him because the doctors did ask us, do you guys want us to talk to him or would you guys like to? And ultimately we felt that was something that we needed to do as his parent.
Right. So I remember the first night that he took his ambulance ride. There's pictures, and so and then if you want, we can post those. And I remember when you got to the hospital, you were specific about having the doctor have that like have me on speaker so that I can hear what he's saying to help you out and to translate. How do you remember that night at if any at all?
Yeah, I think everything was happening so fast, to be honest. I do remember being on a call with you a few times actually too, so you can English terms for me instead of medical terms. But um,
Right.
I think the first night that we were there, it was just Anthony was really tired ultimately. So there was a lot of sleeping, and there was a lot of blood transfusions, like I mentioned earlier. I know Anthony's hemoglobin was at a 3.0 when he went in there, and I believe, if I'm correct, on average, it's supposed to be about a 12. You can
That sounds
correct
about
me if
right.
I'm okay. So,
That is
it
cool.
being at a 3, the doctors looked at me and was like, "I don't know how he still has so much life, energy," because he shouldn't the way I see him as so active because Anthony was joking a lot and being his silly self that the doctor was like, "I don't even know how he's doing that because at a 3.0, that's extremely low," and so it was just I mean, that first day was a lot, so I can't remember in details of everything. I do remember important 3.0, he shouldn't be here right now. Um, and Anthony just, initially getting really tired from getting all that blood transfusion. I believe the first day we were there, he ended up having, I wanna say, like, 12, maybe 6 to no, it's probably, like, I don't know, maybe 6 bags. That first day that we were there of blood.
Best sleep of my life though.
Best week of his life. See, he loved it.
So, Tony Ray, I wanted to ask you, uh, were you sleepy a lot, or were you? Why was it the best time of your life in there? Can you tell me that?
It was just fun, like fun. Oh, and we had this I forgot what they did, but like they'll bring like toys to you while you're in the hospital, and I think that really helped. I asked for Lego
So,
sets. the
you
the
asked for Lego sets, okay? So, because you're a big fan of Legos, right?
mhm.
Yeah.
They had a bunch.
How long did he have to stay in the hospital?
He had to be in the hospital, man, was it like 3 weeks? Um,
I don't know, but
I don't
my girl
remember
still had
because he had a
toys.
few hospital stays, to be honest with you. But I feel like it was maybe 3 weeks this first time around, the very first time. Um, yeah, I think it was about 3 weeks that he had to
Yeah,
stay in the hospital.
I think it was about 3, maybe 3, because I
Seth,
remember having to give a 2-week notice at the time,
Seth,
because then
Seth.
I decided that I was just going to quit my job to stay home and take care of him. And I think that's around the time when you're like, okay, we're going to be getting released at this point. But he did have several hospital stays, and that was because of what reason?
So he had to go back, I mean, 3 times a week at some points, during his journey. Um, and a lot of times because he did have his kidney situation, there was chemo that they were giving that was extremely strong chemo.
Really?
Um, mhm. And so they had to keep him overnight, sometimes 3 days, up to 3 to 4 days, because they wanted to monitor the chemo with him and with his kidney.
Uh, Tony Ray, let me ask you this. When your parents finally told you about the cancer, leukemia, did you understand what they were telling you? What was going
Oh
through
yeah,
your mind?
I definitely understood. I don't know
Did
how I
you?
reacted because I'm pretty sure I fell asleep right after.
The first time we told him, we went in February 10th. Um, and Anthony's birthday was literally 4
4 days.
days after we found out he was diagnosed with cancer. And
Right.
he was going to be turning 11,
Mhm.
right? Yeah, 11. So when we did finally decide to tell him, he really just kind of looked at us, and you remember what you asked us?
No.
He said, "Am I going to die?"
So,
That's what his response was. Um, and so, hearing that as a parent from your child, it's hard.
yeah.
So as we're, talking to him, we are trying to not get so emotional, right? Even though we are okay with emotions, but we wanted to be strong, and so we told him, no, you're not going to die. But he was like, doesn't cancer mean you die, right? So I think that's was the hardest part was having to have that conversation that, "No, you're not going to die. There is medicine. We're going to do what we gotta do to make sure that you are good?" He didn't really ask too much as far as like, "Well, what is leukemia?" until a little bit later on. Not that day, but a little bit later on in our stay there. But he was just trying to understand, like, okay. And he said, when we said, "You're not gonna die," he said, "Okay, great."
What have you learned throughout your journey of dealing with leukemia?
um, Salience of pain, and it's really nice to be surrounded by loving people. I'm trying to think of what else would I
Yeah.
learn. Uh, Stay positive, of course. That's one. I don't know.
But I think what did you learn about leukemia?
Oh, what I learned about leukemia. Oh, that's a blood cancer. And basically,
Mhm.
what happens is like the cells, like a cell gets lazy and fat, and then it just starts to contaminate others to do the same thing. Kind of like a lazy influencer.
A lazy influencer. I like that. Uh, uh, tell he's woke. So,
Very much.
yeah. They had to do they had to do some stuff, some procedures on Tony Ray to check for, cancer cells like in the bone marrow. Do you remember those, Tony Ray? And do you know what they're called? Like in your spine where they had to go
Yeah.
in there
Oh, a spinal tap? Is that what you're talking about?
to spinal tap, yeah. So they were checking for cells, cancer cells in the bone marrow, right? How many of
They they
those
they,
did he go
they put-
through?
Oh, man.
more than 10, maybe more than
Would I
15.
say 15, 20 throughout his
Oh,
journey?
that's a lot.
It is
Yeah,
a lot.
That's
they put me under anesthesia.
They
I thought
they when they do the spinal taps, it's because leukemia likes to
hide.
hide in your
Mhm.
spine. So that's why they would do those spinal taps to make sure that, one, there is no leukemia hiding, and if there is, it's also being treated during his chemo and stuff like that. And they
Funny,
would also put chemo into and doing the spinal tap, they would put chemo back there.
funny. Every
Mhm.
time I woke up, I'd either be back where I was or at the house, and all I knew is that I had a band-aid on my back. Yeah, they they
It's
they 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 put you under that anesthesiologist.
anesthesia.
Anesthesia,
You
yeah,
Yeah,
said it right the first
yeah,
anesthesia.
time. Yeah.
yeah. Little side effect that I learned about that is that it kind of makes you forget, like memory wise, like it makes you forget what happened.
Mhm.
So I've been struggling with
Mhm.
that.
Because of the leukemia, you were not able to go to school, right? So you had to stay home now for school. How did that make you feel knowing that you couldn't go back to school and be with your other classmates and stuff, and now you had to be homeschooled?
I mean, it was almost the end of the year, so it was like already about to happen. It's just like, all right, cool. But around the same time, I also got a PlayStation, so I just spent most of my time there and made friends. So
On the
that really
PlayStation?
helped take my mind off of everything.
So
I actually still have it.
Yeah.
we had to buy that PlayStation. We had to get that
You
PlayStation, the
do?
other one, because actually we didn't. We were Somebody had gave us a PlayStation, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't know if Tony wants to speak freely here, but I'm gonna tell you guys
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
during that time, Tony went into a really bad depression. You know, he was not excited that he wasn't going to go back to school
I was
because
locked in
I,
the house.
he enjoyed school.
so that's what I was gonna say.
Probably.
I think that Tony Ray forgot that I was home with him, and I stayed home with him
Mhm.
Mhm.
for the first year of that part. And there were a lot of times on my end, and Priscilla, you can tell me, about your stuff here. But I remember Tony Ray um, would get into depressed states, and he would also have anger. He was so frustrated about the game that he was playing because he couldn't pass a certain. And Tony Ray, I want you to tell me if you remember this, but you couldn't get past a certain stage, and you kept like dying on the game, and you got really frustrated, and you had a lot of anger, and you basically fell to the floor. And Priscilla, you were working at the time, but you fell to the floor and you were crying, and all I could do was sit on that floor with you and hold you. Do you remember that?
Nope. I
Yeah,
really don't.
that did happen. So,
I like those.
children with cancer or cancer survivors of childhood cancer may experience severe anxiety, withdrawn behavior, behavior problem, PTSD, difficulties in school, frustration, depression. You said that he started to fall into the depression. Was there help for him? Did y'all seek counseling? Was there therapy for him at that point?
Yeah, there was with the Texas Children's Hospital. They have that available where you can speak to. They give you what's called a social worker during your whole treatments and things like that. That actually find out what needs you have, whether it be financially, emotional,
They really use that.
um, anything like that, and they give you resources. And so, yes, there was
Little
counseling
funding. Like
um,
your spouse.
available for
Oh,
him during that time.
When did you start to see
yeah.
how the depression and
Got it.
the anxiety that he started having?
Oh.
Um,
Uh,
I think it happened. Well, it kind of happened in the hospital. Like I said, we were there for so long. It was just uncomfortable, and a lot of times he would not want to do nothing. I think around like maybe I know for sure around his birthday, we celebrated inside the hospital. So we did him like a little cake and did happy birthday, and we had family and friends. His dad put together a video of things, saying encouraging things to Tony, wishing him happy birthday. And I think after that is when it started, because he just wasn't, and the doctors would see it too. Like it just slowly started declining, where he was no longer his very perky and always talking mess self. And then
Yes.
the anger slowly started a little bit after that. So I will say it initially I noticed it in the hospital. Um, and I think because I did notice that, as me going through what I was going through, going to sleep one night, I literally like crying the whole night while he was asleep. And I don't know, I just was laying on the little couch they have there, looking out the window, crying the whole night, and I
Mhm.
woke up the next day and was like, "We got this. It's time to armor up and let's do this," right? And so I think once after that is when it was like, from here it's up. Like, we're just gonna stay positive, son. We're gonna try to, so, this is what it is. This is what's in the life for us, and at this point, we're not gonna be sad about it. We're not gonna be depressed about it. We're not gonna, let people say I'm sorry. It is what it is. We're just gonna keep moving forward from it. And I feel like I had to carry that strength for him, because
Mhm.
I did start to see him declining like that. And that's one thing I did not want to happen, where, you get so depressed and so sad that you make yourself worse, or get sicker. So for me, it was like, man,
Right.
now I gotta do that, right? I can't feel what I'm feeling because he's feeling what he's feeling. And I need to forget about that. What I'm feeling, I need to focus on him. And
Mm.
so I think ultimately, and having people to talk to in the hospital and things like that, we tried because there was moments, but we tried to, be a little bit more patient with him, and understand too. Like, I don't know what he's going through, what he's feeling, because he is so much. Like I said, this is my baby. So he is very much, he worries about my well-being over
Yeah, he
his,
does.
right? So he worries. So he's not going to tell me, oh, I'm in pain, right? Because he doesn't want me to worry. So I just had to remember that. And a lot of times he would be like, I'm fine. Then I'm like, no, you're not, right? We're going to figure this out.
Whenever you were like with me at the house, I was upstairs building this one Lego set. It was a stormtrooper head.
I
I
remember
I
that.
love the stormtrooper head, and it took me a few days, and I ended up getting it done, and I ended up putting it on the shelf with all the other like small Lego pieces the hospital gave me. And what I really liked about that is that they're free, so I can just take them home. I don't know if I was supposed to, but I did either way. So
Yeah, they were definitely for him. So Anthony, Tony picked up. He always liked Legos, but when he was during his treatment in the hospital, that stay, every day was a new Lego set, and they ended up telling him like, "Hey, man, like, you're building them, like, in a day, and people, kids normally take a while. We're gonna have to get more Lego sets for you because, you're building them so quickly." And so that's literally when we left the hospital, we had, like, the little buckets so many Lego sets that he had built during that time. There was a nurse, and I wish I would remember her name, but I don't.
so do I.
But, she ended up buying him a Lego set, right? She's like, "This one has, like, over 1,000 pieces. You should, you're gonna be good on this one for some time." And I think he finished it, like, in a day or 2. And so, I think that's what really helped him, go through the depression, things like that, was that he just focused on building Legos, until initially, friends and family started to purchase him Lego sets to bring to the hospital, because that was really the only thing that could keep him in a good mood, because he
Mhm.
did start to get angry, or outbursts or things like that, which they said was normal, with the medication and stuff that he's taking. um, but
Right.
that was the only thing that really kept him cool, calm, and collective, because
It's always fun to see how Legos start as just like several different pieces, and then they you start building them, and then they become like one giant giant piece of, I don't know,
piece of
art.
art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Art,
Um.
art, art.
Yeah. But like now, like I don't really ask for Legos as often because of how fast I finish them, and the Legos I do ask for are probably expensive because
They're pricey, guys.
the last
They're
one I
pricey.
wanted was a Lego a globe Lego set, like you know those globes you find in, like science class or something. Yeah,
Right.
there's a Lego set version, and so I wanted to get that one for like I think it was Christmas or my birthday. I don't really know, but one of those 2 days, I ended up not getting it.
He put us on blast like that.
uh,
Wow. So just so y'all know, if y'all do want to send him some Legos, just DM me. I'll get you the information where you can send the Lego sets
I'm
to.
Just took a
Um,
photo with every one of them.
but so the therapy there that they had for him, that did that, I'm guessing that helped. So how important
Um,
is it for parents out there to that are going through this to um, for them to know that counseling is helpful to them and their children?
I really don't know if they were that helpful.
so that's what I was gonna say real quick. Counseling is important, right? Because you're able to express yourself, and he was able to have those conversations and talk about what he was feeling with someone other than his parents, where a lot of times he's not telling you truly what he's feeling, but he did tell they did try to, say a lot of positive, just positive affirmations, positive things for him just so he can remember.
I don't even know if I say even one of them.
But I don't think he really cared to talk to them, but and I don't think it's anything against them, but I think Tony is, a child who we have a relationship where he can talk to us. He can talk to me about something, where there is no, judgment. There I am gonna give him my advice if he asks for it and be honest. You said no?
Huh?
You
No, I
don't think
just
so?
realized I was
Oh,
slouching.
um
Speak your
I
mind.
think that, he really was comfortable sharing that with us, with me specifically, than, speaking with someone there, but there were some things that he did share with them that he hadn't told me, so I think, I don't know, how do you feel about it?
I did not like the therapist. It's nothing against them. I didn't think they were too helpful. And most of the stuff I like probably complain about was just some stuff like just like probably like something small. That's really it. Yeah, they weren't too helpful.
So
They really
let
weren't.
me ask you, he's so cute, he's so funny. Let me ask you this, Priscilla. So I know that you were carrying the weight for him,
Mhm.
but was there any point in time? Well, let's back up a minute because what everybody needs to know and understand is uh, when all this was happening, I mean, you were single, going to school, had young children, that you managed to do all that, without a partner.
I wish I knew the answer, but, I think that day in the hospital when I sat there and cried, I think at that point it was like, "You are equipped, right? And you got this. You're just gonna figure it out." I did definitely I'm one that never to reach out for help from anybody, right? But at that point, it was like,
It's a problem.
I he said it's a problem. But at that point, it was like, I'm definitely gonna need help because, I was thinking like, I'm here. So I did take a leave from work, for about, a month, from it. But, even still, I was still stressing like, who's gonna pay my bills? Like being gone from work, like how am I gonna pay? Luckily, I had, had enough to, um get me where I needed to be, but then we ended up creating a GoFundMe and,
Did
the community, yes, the community, like my friends helped so much with, donating here and there what they could, things like that. So we were able to at this point try to find something bigger because we knew and when he came home there was going to be so much more he needed. My kids, I was like, who's going to take care of my kids while I'm here? Like so I was thinking about, bills, my children, my school. I was like, I can't, what am I supposed to do? So I ended up taking like, I think it was maybe 2 weeks or it might have been a month out of school as well. Just to like register everything. And then I just had to figure out a way to like, okay, I have to go back to work. I need to make sure I'm off 3 days a week to take him to chemo. I need to finish school, right? I have to finish school. And I have to figure out my kids. But I was extremely blessed to be honest, because, my sisters, my mom, everybody kind of just at that point came in and was like, hey, well, we can help you with the kids. We can, we can't do your schoolwork for you, but we can help you with the kids, and when, like I said, it creating that GoFundMe really helped me stay afloat during that time where I was able
Yeah.
to you know, get these bills paid while I was out of work. So it was really tough. I'm not gonna lie. But I just knew I had to do it and I had to complete it, right? I knew like you have to finish school, girl. You have to, right? You have to, no matter. I felt like at the end it was going to be a bigger testimony. Like you went through, before Tony got his diagnosis with a cancer, a few months prior to that, my father, had passed away from
Right.
COVID. So dealing with that, at the end of the year, um, and then turning around a few months later and then your son being diagnosed with cancer, like I legit thought like my world was just crumbling. And then I
Right.
just felt like you have to do this, you have to do it one for yourself, but you have to do it for your kids because they're gonna see at the
Yeah.
end of it all like, man, mom, you went through your dad passing, you went through your son having cancer, and you still did it. So there's nothing that they will not be able to accomplish, right? Because if they're anything like their mama, they're going to be strong and they're going to persevere and they're going
Right.
to keep going and be resilient. And I felt like those are the things that I would tell myself mentally. That pushed me, to be honest. Like, you have to, they're watching you, girl. Like, they are watching you, and
Right.
you there if there's anything that you can do, you're going to show them. And they may not appreciate it now, but later on, I definitely think that they will appreciate and understand um my mood swings, understand me
Right.
going to work constantly, me making the decisions I made because it was very hard, you know?
Yeah. So that my audience doesn't get confused when she sees mother. When she says mother, she means me because I'm her mom. But yes, so your dad died October, and then February, Tony Ray gets diagnosed.
Mhm.
And you never want to ask for help. And so I remember thinking how am I going to approach this to her, to you, my daughter, about me doing a GoFundMe because I created the GoFundMe for you. And I just knew that you were going to say, no, I don't need that. We'll figure it out because
Mhm.
you do have so much pride and you never want to ask people for help. But I was kind of like, oh my, I told Brittany, I said, which is my other daughter, your sister. And I said, okay, great. She's going to let me do this GoFundMe. So let me set this up. And then, hey, we really need to probably do a GoFundMe. Yeah. See, I know that
Yes.
y'all weren't going to remember bits and pieces. It's like, because it's a traumatic experience. It's very difficult. It's hard to hear that your son has cancer or that any child, as a parent, like you said, to hear those words, about your children. So I didn't think that you would remember some little bits of details outside of that because, I can relate to that as far as my father. I don't remember what went on outside the hospital walls while I was there. There's things I don't know. So, but there's want to talk about the mental health, what you went through. I know, Priscilla, that you had to carry the weight of your son, my grandson going through the depression and the anxiety and the anger because he did have those symptoms because I saw those even after he got home and I stayed with him. Um, so you couldn't do that. You couldn't release that. So how did you at any point start dealing with that?
Um, to be honest with you and transparent, no, I don't think so. Which I think is why I still get so overly emotional um when I do share stuff. And it's really because I definitely try to I didn't have time to think about being sad, right? I didn't have time to be able to just sit there and cry and scream and deal with all of the emotions to do any of that.
Excuse me.
It was really just grind mode for me, right? When I say grind mode, I mean like it was really just time to fight, right? And so in that mind frame that I tend to go to, I don't think about, you know, I whatever I'm dealing with emotionally, I tend to put it in the back of my mind so that way I'm just in fight mode, right? I don't want to allow that to stop me from doing what I need to do. So I know I still think that there's of a lot of stuff that I deal with emotionally when it comes to it. Like I said, and shared with pops passing away, I didn't even have time
Mhm.
to fully grieve that. Um,
Right.
because once my son was diagnosed, it was like, that's out the window, and I hate to say it like that, but it was like, I didn't even have time to comprehend and gather all of those emotions, right? Because it was like, now I
Right.
have this to focus on, and my son is above anybody, where, there was times where I did feel as well, like my other kids too, it was, and it's crazy to say it, right? Because I do consider myself be a very involved mother. Like, I needed to focus on Tony,
Mhm.
and I needed to focus on all of that. So there was just so much still as a mom that I was just like, and again, I'm being transparent with you guys. I didn't really think so much like, did the kids eat today? Did this, I was just thinking Tony. um, and it's hard to say that, because it's like, as a mom, you do think about all your children, right? And I don't mean it in an ill way, but there was times my kids didn't see me. There was days
Right.
they didn't see me. And if I did need to cry, which was rare, I would do it in the shower. Like, so my kids don't know what's going on. They just knew they weren't seeing their mom. They weren't
Right.
seeing, Tony. And it's like, I, in a sense, felt that I did neglect them during the first until I was able to balance everything out. And so that was something else I carried, being the fact that I did feel, in a sense, neglecting my other children as well. So it's just
Yeah.
really ultimately hard. Yeah. So I still think there's a lot of things, even though we've been going through this for 2 years already, that there's just so much that I still haven't been able to release and deal with.
Yeah. So, Tony, there's something
Okay.
happening. There's something happening on Monday, right?
Yeah, I think I'm ringing the bell.
So, for somebody out there who may not know what ringing the bell means, can you explain to them what it is? What does it mean?
Oh, it's whenever you ring the bell in like a hospital and you have cancer, it basically means like you're done with your treatment. You've accomplished getting through something deadly. Yes, yes, that's what it means. You're cancer free. You're good to go. Every
So
now
you're
and then
good
you
to
do have
go.
to come in for a checkup, but after that, I'm good.
What do you have planned for your future? Like, where do you see yourself in the future, given that you've been through this whole journey of fighting cancer and you come out and you've won. You beat cancer. You ring that bell on Monday. In a few short days, what do you see yourself doing in the future?
Probably Build a Bear.
Probably what?
I probably plan to work at Build a Bear. As you
To
see,
work
my
at
mom's
Build a
a
Bear.
manager. Yeah,
So let me ask you, unless you have something else you want to share with the audience, but what would you tell
uh,
children out there that are barely going through this journey themselves? Is there any advice you would give them?
I can definitely give some tips about like if the when the saline's just terrible. Um, something I do to like. Okay, so whenever I was at the doctor's, at first saline started tasting like pennies, then it got worse, and at that point it was just making me barf. All right, and so every time I needed to like get saline through, which was very often, I'd barf if I was awake. So a little trick I did was like I held my tongue to the roof of my mouth like very hard, just to like not feel the taste, and so I wouldn't like throw up, and that slowly helped me to like be able to just like go through saline without throwing up. Yeah, but another little tip is sleeping's your friend. But yeah, that's really all I gotta
That's good.
say.
Those are good. Those
Might
are
want to
good
sleep.
tips.
Might want to sleep through the visits though. They could be a pain.
These are a
You're
lot of good
saying
tips.
Sleep through the visits? Why would the visits be a pain?
Saline, the chemo. Like, it's just every time I went to the doctor, you'd see me trying to sleep. Like I'd be listening to music, or sometimes whenever I have a bone marrow, I'd have to like go on a fast, so I couldn't eat past
Or
12.
spinal
Um,
tap?
oh, spinal tap, my bad. But yeah, I couldn't eat past 12, and so what I do at that point is just like go to bed, so I wouldn't feel like hungry in the car and want to eat something. And so I also try to sleep through the visits, so I wouldn't have to eat.
What would you say to them if they felt scared about this journey that they're going to be going through? Do you have any tips or advice on that?
It gets easier. It gets easier the more you go through. You start to feel stronger. You start to feel way better. Less sleepy too. But I don't just want. I don't want to say what's it called again? That everything's gonna be alright. Nothing bad's gonna happen. Cause you never know, right? So it's just like the 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 more progress you make through your journey, the easier it will get. At first, it's probably gonna be hard, difficult. Like as my mom said, we were going to the doctor what 3 times a week. Yeah.
Mhm.
So
So he doesn't. Yeah, he's
now it's like once every like 3 months, and now that I'm done, I don't really have to go at all. So that's great.
Anthony is very real and raw, right? So he's saying, I'm not going to tell you that it's going to be okay. I'm not going to tell you this, right? Because you don't know what's going to happen. I'm just going to tell you it
Right.
will get better, and keep it pushing. And it's one of the things that to this day, even the nurses or doctors, that he saw through his time there, they're just like, man, that kid has stayed so positive and so raw and uncut, like his whole journey. They're like, he's one of our best kids that we've ever seen in treatment because for a lot of kids, when they go through their treatment, they're always so angry or always negative and they think the worst, right? And it's really hard and heartbreaking to see all these kids, because you're in a room at Texas Children's, you're in a room where it's a big room where there's so many different, everybody's getting their chemo, right? And so to be surrounded by so much I hate to say negativity, but it is, and a lot of
Oh, it is
sadness.
a depressing place.
It's depressing, like he says. And for him just to be that light and always so positive, like every time they would see him, they're just like, oh man, like so happy to see him because they're like, oh, today's gonna be a good day, right? He's here.
A little thing that happens I personally don't really like to like look at is other kids hook up to like an IV or in like that pool. I really don't like looking at other kids getting their chemo. I don't know why. It just makes me feel sad for them. I mean, I know they're probably gonna be okay, most likely. They're in a good facility. Like Texas Children's is probably one of the highest hospitals in what the U.S.
It
maybe.
is.
So
Yeah.
like I know they're gonna be good. I just don't like seeing it though, because like
Isn't that crazy?
He's
That
so
the fact
smart.
that you are hooked. Yeah, it's crazy the fact that you're hooked up to that same, right? You're hooked up to those things and you're good, but to see other people go through or hooked up or going through what he's going sad versus, it's to hear that.
oh, one time I did have this
He's so
allergic
smart, though.
reaction
He's a lot of
to
it.
like I forgot what it's called. But like I had an allergic reaction to this chemo.
No, was it? I think you had an allergic reaction to the plasma
Oh
you were
yeah, it was a
getting
plasma.
because he
Yeah.
had to receive plasma too a few times while he was there.
It was like a peanut allergy, like where it like starts to, like your throat starts to close. Yeah. So first time using EpiPen, it actually doesn't hurt. The only thing that hurts is hitting it on your leg, and that doesn't last long because like the needle goes so fast. Is like it's definitely something that will not hurt that much.
Yeah, Tony had a very scary One time we were there getting his regular chemo. He ended up needing
Thank God I didn't
to
do
get
that.
plasma because even after the initial hospital stay, every time we would go back, they would check his hemoglobin, and if it was low, they would always give him transfusions. At one point, there was plasma. He needed some plasma, so they gave him that, and he ended up having and it's an intense moment as well, because you see, I'm looking at him. I see he's on the bed, and I was like, "Son, are you feeling okay?" He's like, "I'm fine," right? But then I start to notice he's coughing,
Mhm.
and I'm like,
Yeah,
right?
after those calls, I
After
started to feel. I just started to like
he
feel
like
him.
started to like try to tell me I can't breathe, and so immediately hit the, panic so someone could come into the room and, having a rush of doctors when he's there, like he is not.
I swear there was like 10 in that room, which is surprising how they all fit like a clown car.
It
That's
was,
smaller though.
yeah, he legit looked like he could not breathe. He turned
Wow.
different colors. He started to shake, and I was just like in shock, and they, when they do things like that, they tend to move you to the side, so you really can't like, get involved when I get it, right? But I just sat there and like just put my head down and
Right.
was like, please, like if he's gonna be okay, like please, just try not to let my anxiety hit. But once he came to, he just started joking like nothing.
Honestly, I am very thankful for the nurse that was there because like she had this thing where like she had a bucket full of like a bunch of stuff that could just like help you in any situation. And I felt like that was one of the main reasons I got through that so fast. But a little something I do is I wear comfortable clothes and always shorts. Because if you're gonna get like your like say an EpiPen, right? And you need the EpiPen. I don't like when I have to like pull down my pants at all just to like get the EpiPen through. I don't really like that, so I just wear shorts so it's easier to get
It's
through.
easier exit.
Another tip.
Another tip.
That's
Oh,
personally me.
That's another th and also, another tip real quick, I don't know, but there is, Anthony had to get um, a port placed, where they would administer the chemo because
right.
there was a point where we had to administer it at home, and so nerve-wracking. Um, but they have shirts where, they kind of zip, um,
Zip. They have like
they have
buttons on the side.
buttons on the side, so it is a little bit easier. You don't have to take off your clothes or things like that, where you can do your chemo with your clothes on and things like that. So make sure to, if you are, going through that, those shirts are available. That's a good tip, so you don't have to take off their clothes.
Yeah. Parents, don't be nervous to pull
Maybe
out
you should.
the little needle that goes in ports, because
Okay,
she got nervous, hesitated, and was struggling to pull out the needle, which hurt way more. Also,
calling
there
everybody
was this
out.
one nurse that
Yeah.
there was this one nurse. I was with my dad at this time. I'd forgotten to get the numbing cream, right? So the nurse is there, like she's like, all right, you want to just use the spray on thing, which doesn't work. It hurts because it doesn't really do anything. Like it'll just like like kind of cool down the area where it is. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to like make like the nerves focus on the cold areas rather than like where it's supposed to, like, the needle's gonna go through, but it just does not work. And so because I had already tried it at that point, and I was like, no, I want the numbing cream because it will not hurt. Like you'll feel a bit of pressure, but you will not. It will not hurt. My dad's out the room.
So,
He's going to get some food.
Tony Ray, it
So
sounds to
huh?
me like you would be good at writing a book of tips for children.
I don't like writing.
That's what you don't like writing? Maybe
I
not
don't
now.
really like it. Okay. No matter how much you write, or well, I write, it just never seems to get better.
It'll get better.
I hope
Yeah,
Yeah,
It
I
it'll
do
will.
get
not like
better.
handwriting.
I think
Like
it'd be good. I
like
think it'd be interesting to have a book of tips, but that's just me.
I look at a girl's handwriting and it looks so pretty. One, because they know most of them know cursive. Whenever I was learning cursive, the class didn't listen, so I wasn't able to actually learn it. The most I remember is an S and an L. I think an E, maybe. I don't know. But like, I
Tony
wasn't able
raised
to
it back
really
to
learn it.
himself.
Very much so. If you guys
Yeah.
know Tony, Tony will
Then you know,
talk.
yeah. He is
Yes,
back
he
to
loves.
himself, everyone. Yeah, Tony Ray, truly you don't know this yet, but you'll later on. But you are a really you're an inspiration to a whole bunch of other kids, and you're going to continue to be an inspiration to a whole bunch of other children. You may not see that yet, but we all definitely can see that. I know that you don't like writing, but I don't know. I think that you're a lot more than what you think that you are. You're big. He's very smart. You're a very smart kid. You're very smart. Uh, you have so much empathy for other kids. When you hear this interview, you'll later on in your years, you're gonna think back to it. You're gonna remember the things that you were saying there. That, and I'm very proud of you. And I know that Monday is going to be a very exciting day, and I know it's a day that we've all been waiting for. So I'm going to be there with you to get to see you ring that bell and ring out. That's going to be a great, great milestone for you. And when you get older, you're going to look back at all of it, and you're going to have more appreciation and a different perspective. And I'm gonna be there to see this journey with you. So I'm super excited to see what's to come in the future for you. Priscilla, is there anything else that you want to share with the parents or the moms or anybody that's going through this?
I definitely think if I could go back, I definitely would say to you guys, don't be like me, right? Like where you hold everything in and actually partake in, these communities where they are parents going through
Same thing.
the same thing exactly. These journeys with their children, so it helps you, you know, how to maneuver through everything and know that you're not alone. I know it was offered to myself, but just the way I am, I just right.
Decline.
I, you said what?
Decline.
I just chose to just go a different route. But if I could, I definitely would go back and actually partake in some of these things, so that way I could learn how to you know, deal with the things that I deal with internally when it comes to this situation. And I really think you can say be strong, right? But I feel like as a parent, any good parent is definitely going to put whatever they're dealing with aside to focus on the situation at hand. And just don't be afraid to ask family and friends for that support whenever you may need it. And I mean, and
Right.
Tony is such a positive kid, so I feel like he made it a little bit easier to stay positive because he's just so like, it's all good. We're good. I can't wait to climb
Yeah.
trees again. Like he took it so positive
The trees
and
around us are terrible. Like you cannot climb them,
he
and if you do, they're like the short trees. I don't like them.
he just remained so positive and I feel like just I know that it is hard to go through those emotional outbursts that your child will go through, the pain, seeing them hurt like that. But it's like, just remember to, at that point, you are their strength. And even though I say I am his strength, I really feel like Tony was my strength through the whole journey because him staying so positive and joking about things really made me look at it differently versus what I was thinking, and how I truly felt inside.
Right.
So he really was my strength through it all too. So you guys really have to lean on each other and be patient because these kids will get out of line sometimes when they're on these medicines.
I got angry
You just
fast.
that's
Very
a
much
tip for the
so.
parents.
Yes, be patient because they will definitely get out of line.
That is hilarious. So before we
What?
go, I wanted to ask you about you said Tony Ray had some infusions, blood transfusions. Uh, did you ever? Some people feel one way about it, and some people feel like it's okay. Did you have any hesitations when they first brought that to your attention about the transfusions?
Yeah, I was scared. I'm not gonna lie because you never know someone else's blood, right? You don't really know. I mean,
Pretty sure
is
they
it
check it.
safe? Like, and yes, I know they check it, right? But there's still so many things that can happen by receiving other people's blood that it can put you at a risk, right? In my mind, I'm just like, it can put you at a risk. But during that time, when they said again, your son has cancer. We're going to start blood transfusion. Um, it wasn't even enough time to process, no, don't do the blood transfusions because I knew ultimately he needs it, right? So it wasn't even a question of anything. It was just whatever you got to do to keep my baby here, we doing it. Like, it was no questions, but there was definitely fear of it, right? So we did ask questions like, well, can they have our blood? Like, how does this work? Like, but they do go through a process of things they do with the blood at the blood centers, and things like that before they actually say it's okay to
Ooh,
get
I
it
was about
out.
to say that.
So sitting here for us to give blood, it doesn't work like that. When you think it works like that, it does not work like that. So and now I'm totally for any blood work. I know we actually are we do a lot of things with the blood Gulf Coast, and Tony has actually done some interviews with them. Tony is on one of their calendars, we've done some things with the Gulf Coast blood.
Yeah, Gulf Coast Regional Blood Bank, Blood Center.
Mhm.
Yeah, we've even in the beginning, we even did. Uh, People were even donating under his name so that the blood could be for Tony during the time that he needed the blood transfusion. So, um, man, that's that for people out there that are hesitant about uh, the blood transfusions, like what would you tell them?
I feel like in the time of it is scary, right? I would tell you we know, right? But I feel like it can definitely I not feel, I know because my son is here, right? So it can definitely save your life, save your child's life. You know, sometimes it's not in your hands. And so ultimately you just have to believe and know that you're going to be okay, right? And so I definitely think if you guys aren't donating, definitely donate because it can definitely save someone's life that it could be you, it could be your child. It could definitely say that. So I'm very grateful for all those who are, saw it in a different perspective than I did when it came to donating donating blood, but grateful for those individuals because somebody out there, many of y'all out there more than likely partaked in saving my son's life when it came to his blood transfusions and plasma, to be honest with you. Is
There you go. Well, is there anything else that you want to say,
there anything you want to say?
eh, Tony Ray? Is there anything you want to say to anybody out there?
Uh, yeah, actually, yes. It's not a tip, but
Oh,
I was gonna say, be positive like our blood, but that's all.
Come back.
he is such a
Stretching.
positive. Yeah, stay in camera. Like he's such a positive kid. I swear, Tony Ray,
I
you
love
are
that.
amazing.
He
Yeah,
threw a little he said, "Be positive like our blood, because that's what we are, we're be positive."
uh, I love it.
I
That's so
love
good.
that, absolutely.
I'm sad I didn't get like all the way in the frame though.
I know, that's why I said move back.
No, no, I mean like when I did this.
Oh, his muscles, he's showing you guys his muscles.
Oh yeah, like it didn't show my other arm. That's the only reason I was like, that sucks. But anywho, yeah.
Nope, just remain positive through the journey and don't let the journey, beat you guys. You guys beat the journey, you guys flow with the journey and I mean, I'm here. If anyone wants to reach out, you guys can inbox mom over here. But I'm here
You guys
to
know how to
walk.
reach me.
Reach out to mom, okay? You guys, I'm here to help and be a support, for someone else who may be like me and doesn't like to reach out for help, right? Because you never know. I'm sure there's multiple Priscillas out there.
Oh,
Right. Well,
mhm.
there you go, folks. This Tony Ray's journey and Priscilla's journey. Um, I want to tell y'all that I am so proud of y'all, Priscilla. I'm so proud of the woman that you've
Thank
become.
you.
Thank you.
You're a strong woman. You did the thing. You did. We're all about just do it, just figure it out. And that's exactly, push through it. And that's exactly what you did to help your son through his journey. So I'm very proud of y'all. And what does the future look like for you, Priscilla?
I mean, I am now a graduate, so I'm done with that. Yay. Um,
Yes, let's
I feel like
before we end this, let's talk about that real quick. 1 second. Hold on. Let me back it up. So during the time of the Tony Ray going through his journey with leukemia, everything going on, single mom with children, 4 kids, going to school full time. Finally, the day has come. How great was that your son, Tony Ray, was there to witness you walk across that stage and get your bachelor's degree in science? How great was that?
I think seeing him present with me just made it all worth it. And to say like, would I go and do it again? Absolutely. Right? Um, no, I wouldn't want him to go through it again, right? But I'm saying, would I? In that moment, him seeing me and seeing how proud he was of me, um, because I know if he'll share his, but he was so proud of me, and I felt so accomplished, especially as someone who did drop out. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And so being in my 30s, going to school again, and then dealing with everything, I know that it was totally worth it, and I was so, so happy, that he was able to actually travel with me to California to see me walk that stage. So in the end, it was all worth it.
And Tony
I've
Ray, how did you feel seeing your mom walk across that stage getting
Oh,
that
it was
degree?
amazing. It was amazing.
It was
I mean,
yeah,
one day that's gonna be me, but it
yeah.
was really it was really great.
You're proud of your mom?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
He's just so
Wonderful.
nonchalant. Yeah, but, one of the things that he did share and say is that he was like, "I can do this too," you know? And I'm like, "Yeah, dude, you can do even better because you're gonna do it not in your 30s, you're gonna do it when you're in your 20s." What? Like, Um,
Right.
so absolutely, he was like, he took pictures. He wanted to take pictures holding my diploma. Like, I'm like, hey, I'm all for it. This is you in the future. So it was definitely a beautiful moment, to be honest. And it was just the right timing for everything. It was perfect. It was just everything was worth it. The whole journey was worth it.
So yeah, the pictures that y'all took, they're absolutely beautiful. That it was emotional because for me because I see my daughter walking across the stage, and then my grandson is right there with her. You know what I'm saying? So it was a very proud mama moment all the way around. So, but I want to thank y'all both so much for coming on the show and sharing the journey. And it got a little emotional, but that's just the rawness of and the reality of what people go through when you have a loved one who's diagnosed with cancer, especially a young child. So if you guys want to reach out to Priscilla and contact her, please, you have my email. You guys can email me, send me a message, and I'll be glad to get y'all connected. And don't forget that donating blood does save lives. I mean, here's proof he's had to have several blood transfusions. So please reach out to your are curious about it, you can get some information. Gulf Coast Regional Blood Center is located in Texas, but if you're out of state, please reach out to your local blood bank and get that information. Once again, I appreciate y'all both so much for joining the show and coming on here and sharing your journey with us. Tony Ray, I really feel that you're going to be art and inspiration to so many people. I know that you're 13 right now, and you may not realize that, but you will. And I can't wait till that moment comes in that point in time of your life when you actually can realize that and appreciate that in a whole different way. So I'm excited to see all that happening in the future. I'm excited and happy, guys. Listen, he's going to be ringing the bell on Monday, so we'll probably have some pictures for you as well, sharing that wonderful moment as well. So once again, thank y'all so much. So Priscilla and Tony Ray, I would like to welcome you to the Unhinged, a Mary Blige show. Until the next conversation. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
The unhinged where nothing is hidden. We talking so get in.
Listen.
The unhinged where nothing is hidden. We talking so get in.
Listen.
Mary, blah, blah.
Show.
Mary, blah, blah.
Show.
The unhinged where nothing is hidden. We talking so get in.
Listen.
The unhinged where nothing is hidden. We talking so get in.
Listen.
Mary, blah, blah.
Show.
Mary, blah, blah.
Show.
Welcome